Okay. Greetings, everyone. Coinstamp 180 here. Wow, I'm still saying this. It's so natural. I've been doing it for so long. But no, let's try again. My name's Coinstamp. Uh, and welcome back to another episode of Elden Ring Reforged. Last time, we completed the schoolhouse for the most part, and then we did a couple of other things. Obtained a new spell. But this time we're going to be defeating Rennala. This might be the whole episode as well. Don't know entirely about that yet. Also, additionally, I don't know about her spell loadout. I'll have to fiddle with that. But before we begin, I have a new patch I'd like to go over with you. As of, I believe, 2 days ago. Let me just double check this real quick. So, as of the 14th, yeah, that would be 2 days ago, Kernifer came out and released the 0.4.69 patch for Elden Ring Reforged. For those who don't know what Elden Ring Reforged is, it is an overhaul mod for Elden Ring that changes up many of its core gameplay features, although Elden Ring Reforged takes a pretty light touch on this. If you want to know more about Elden Ring Reforged generally, just type in !ERR, all lowercase, in order to get access to the mod page where that is held. You can find the Discord, you can find access to the changelog, and all kinds of other stuff there on that page. Now, getting back to our lovely patch, I'll be able to reply to chat in just a hot minute. I'll go ahead and shrink my display so I can see chat better. So, in this patch, Frostbite stacks. You know how, for those who are familiar with how Frostbite works in Elden Ring already, you're aware that once you apply the status, you need to either use fire in order to immediately reset it, or you're stuck. You need to wait until it wears off and then try again. Now, it stacks. So before, it was a 20% debuff, I believe, to either stamina regeneration or movement speed for 30 seconds. It is a 10% debuff for 50 seconds. Fire damage still removes all frostbite stacks. With this change, all status effects can begin reapplying instantly after they're activated. The exception for sleep, it can only begin once the enemy wakes up. There's a new secret talisman that we have not gone over yet, but it's tied to a part of a quest that we will not be touching for a while due to our progression. The way we're choosing to go about things. We'll be in Altus Plateau before going to Caelid, where this sort of progression would come up. The Kindred of Rot's Exaltation now triggers healing instead of boosting damage. The Lord of Blood's Exaltation still boosts damage. Vike's Spore Spear now has the all-stat scaling with the Frenzied Affinity and Seal. It's saying that the Frenzied Affinity and the Frenzied Seal have. There we go. And of course, Glintblade Hail, the Prodigious Crown Pendant, and Lunar Princess's Exaltation. That would be the secret medallion I just talked about. Is available in the NG Plus shop, which is found by accessing the Chapel of Anticipation after you've revisited it at the 4 Belfries, and you interact with it to go to New Game Plus early. And you'll be given, enough stuff to play New Game Plus comfortably. We've talked about this already in, I think, episode 24 or 5. Could be wrong about that, but that's just my memory for you. There was a new fortune added. It's the Fortune of the Commoner. It's very common. We might even be able to divine it without, access. Let's see, let's select a common fortune. No, we actually do have to divine this for ourselves. So, this is really basic. It's super basic. So, I think there were a lot of complaints about fortunes. Someone wanted something universal, and this is it. HP, FP, stamina, the basics. It slightly increases damage dealt, and decreases damage taken. So, I'll need to put my phone on vibrate, but I could do that later. Um, we may end up moving to this fortune eventually, as I do want access to being able to apply certain combinations of status effects at the same time, something that can't really be respected if you're talking about, fortune such as Fortune of the Sorcerer, Fortune of the Warlock, Fortune of the Wizard. They both encourage various other types of gameplay and don't really mix the way I want them to. So we will move to Fortune of the Commoner eventually, but for the time being, it's really basic. Super basic. It's the boosts on this, I'm told, are very weak. Don't worry too much about it. Margit and Moog's shackle items have been fixed. They have the same exact range. And Moog doesn't take any more extra damage when shackled. Margit and Morgott never took any either. Moog's Phantom can't be shackled either. So, that's pretty much all the changes in a nutshell for you. Not much more to say than that. We're not going to be adjusting any fortunes now. We're kind of determined to stay the course. Excuse me. If we do change, and I do end up picking, Sorcerer, or Wizard, excuse me, we will be able to have access to, Meteorite. Because Meteorite has been adjusted, it no longer fires 3, I believe it fires 1. I think Meteorite and Meteorite of Estelle have basically swapped what they do, but I don't want to comment too much on that unless I've actually done the testing. And I guess before we begin by going over the game plan for today's episode, I also want to mention that in patch 4.7, as far as I'm aware, maybe it'll be another patch from then, but Kurnifer has some pretty big stuff planned for 0.4.7. Then the major even patches tend to have major stuff in it. Makes sense. Although I guess Frostbite's a pretty big change. You know what? I won't comment on patterns too much. But what I will say is that I know there are some fortunes in the works. I'm not going to comment more than that. I will, however, say if you want access to those sorts of discussions in ERR, where we do theory craft, we do actually propose changes for Kurnifer to make, you will find all of that. You will find that we do all of those things on a Discord server, which you can find by going to the mod page. Just type in !ERR if you would like to know more. Without further ado, let's get started. So with Rennala, I'm not going to preview the boss. We did that last episode. What I will say is if you want to know about the boss strengths, weaknesses, resistances, and so on and so forth, if you'll type in !ERRB, all lowercase, no spaces, that's !ERRB, and you will get access to the boss spreadsheet. I have this saved as a doc in my OBS, so I pull it up whenever I'm streaming this game. And all the defenses and stuff have been adjusted or changed in Elden Ring Reforged. A good example of this would be Margit having much lower holy resistance. He no longer has as much resistance to that damage type as he did before. I believe even Morgott only has 50% resistance to holy at best. Nothing is entirely immune to it. Nothing is entirely immune to any one damage type. It is at most halfway resistant. The only things in which bosses can be completely immune are status effects. But there are a lot more status effects that are generally available to affect bosses with the exception of the somewhat rare or uncommon spirit bosses, which are always immune to all status effects. Which is fine. But yeah, if you want to know all about that stuff, !ERRB. I don't normally talk during boss fights, so... And especially given that Rennala basically trashed us during our 3 attempts last time, I definitely don't want to be talking during that. So all I will say before I go beyond this gate is that if you have any questions, if you whisper me or something like that, please know that I do look and see these things. I just don't comment until after, I don't comment on them until after the fight, with few exceptions. And with that bit of talking out of the way, I will respond. Just gotta give me some time. I'm going to go into the fight now, and I will see you on the other side of the fog gate. One trick I will mention is that you need to listen for the chanting. If the chanting sounds like it's getting closer, you are headed in generally the right direction. Okay, there's one. Okay, she's waving her hand, but that's for rebirth. Okay, they're gravestones. And those are the ones that bust through the bookcase. Good to know. Only the poison carried over.
giant.
Of course! I expect a whole episode dedicated to this nonsense. And I get it during the first freaking attempt. What? Hatred in my heart exists for this woman.
Flee, my sweetings. Come out from whence ye hide. There are books and light aplenty, dither not. Come out, say I, or will ye be gravestones, to be better born anew?
Well, well, well. Okay, so looking at this, it's empty now. At least I think it is. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's see if I can get a closer look at the texture. I think... Nope, you can kind of make it out. It's hard to tell because, of course, there's amber on top of it. But there are bodies in there. At least I think so. Actually, if I remember Zuli talking about this, or, like, demonstrating it on one of their videos, I think it's the other way around, where the amber is supposed to be full of the bodies of the juvenile scholars in the beginning, and it empties out in the end. I'm kind of having to hunt for something. Also, one thing you can definitely tell is that the amber is cracked, so even though it's back in her possession now, it'll never work the same again. Whether that is good or bad, I can't say.
Thou, is it thy wish to be born anew? To become a sweeting, reborn of my beloved egg.
Okay, so we've unlocked Rennala. So Rennala has two functions. Her involvement with the story is more or less over. There are side quests in which she becomes involved in air quotes later, but generally speaking, she is finished. And no, you can't actually kill her. You could try, it won't work. The place is under a non-aggression pact as well. You can't even do that in here. So, Rebirth. This is how you reset stats. If we wanted to adjust our stats to be more balanced for the end game, or we would like to pump additional stats toward various endings, we can do that now. It takes one larval tier to do this. Larval tiers are rare. I don't remember. I know that you can craft them as well, but that may be an Elden Ring Reforged convention. I'm going to look that up just to be absolutely sure. And it'll probably be under items if I had to guess. Items crafting. Okay. So, yeah. Let's look at our crafting menu now, shall we? But before that, cosmetics. If you want to change your character's appearance, this is how you do it. If we wanted to, if we were doing like a storytelling playthrough or something like that, which we're not, but if we were, this would be how you do it. And I do not believe cosmetics cost a tier. It is only stats that require a tier.
Be not alarmed, nor afeared. I would birth thee as a sweeting, fair and fine.
So, among other things, crafting. Said we would look at that. We've defeated Rennala. We could make tiers. Of the larval tier. Core of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tier, as much a substance as it is a living organism. Material required by the amber egg cradled by Rennala, queen of the full moon, to birth people anew. Being born anew allows the reallocation of attributes boosted by leveling up. So, you make these with Albinoric blood clots. We've been gathering a few of these since killing the Albinorics. Melted mushrooms, which we find in the Eternal City. That would be Nokron or Noxtella, a few other underground cities. Nascent butterflies, which you make, which you find in various rare places. The Chapel of Anticipation has a couple. The Siofra and Ainsel rivers have access to a couple. There are a few other underground places that also have a couple of these. Finally, silver fireflies. You can sometimes find them in caves. Yeah, it specifically said found near cold waters untouched by sunlight. Yeah, so any cave that has access to fresh water or is an underground lake of some kind will have these. We will make one eventually, but to make these, quite the rune cost was attached to these. 100,000 runes. You're reading that right. 100,000 runes grants access to crafting one of these lovely little beauties. We're going to be making these for a while. And by the time we do, we'll already have runes aplenty for level up. And the goal of this build, which you can find out by typing in ! Player build, all one word, all lowercase, spelled exactly as the two words put together should be spelled, and you will get access to the goal. But we are playing a caster, faith, intelligence, arcane, all three of those to an incredibly high value, with strength, dexterity, and vigor, mind, endurance to be brought up as necessary to show everything off. And if necessary, I will use tiers to showcase some other play styles. But yeah, we won't be making these for a while. I'm just putting that out there that we do get access to it after we've after we've beaten Rennala. Next item is a remembrance. I know we got that earlier. Where is it? I believe it is an actual tool. No, it should be a key item. Where is this? I wonder if you can't interface with it under normal means. The other key item we did get was the Great Rune of the Unborn. Used to perfect rebirth. Yes. So if for whatever reason we didn't get the Great Rune of the Unborn, we would not be able to access the rebirthing menu. We would only get cosmetics. Amber Egg clutched by Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, Great Rune of Unborn Demigods, perfects those who have been born anew. Children born anew by Rennala are all frail and short-lived, imperfect beings, each and all. Yeah, the possession of this rune means that we come out of the rebirthing process the same as we always were. If not, we would end up, you know, kind of like the juvenile scholars. This chest here, we cannot open until we finish a great chunk of Ronnie's questline. And last but not least, I believe back here... Yeah, there's a statue to Radagon here. This indicates that, you know, the marriage of the houses between the Golden Order and of the stars themselves is the truth. It did happen. Muriel wasn't, you know, lying to us. It is the truth. But what does the truth mean? What does the lore mean? That is an excellent question. And one that I'm probably not really qualified to tell you about until later. Yeah, and I probably won't really be qualified to say much on the matter until after we've gotten at least 2 or 3 of the endings, and even then, I'd still have to put together some sort of lore video or something along those lines. And really, why would I do that when I can point you to the direction of either Vati or a few others who've put together lore videos on the subject to tell you more? They will do a much better job of that than I ever could. We don't have earthly flowers. Right. I believe we also got a remembrance as well. Unlike other Great Runes, the Great Rune of the Unborn does not give you a benefit of any kind. It is literally just for access to the rebirthing menu, which I guess is a reward in and of itself. That's fine. Not much more to say. Let's go back to the round table hold and kind of retrace our steps. Regroup, figure out what we're doing next. Not that we actually need to do this. I know where we're supposed to go already, but... You know, any person worth their stock would probably do this after, would probably regroup after that fight anyway and figure out what else they were supposed to do. Like a normal person would do that. I guess I'm just not finding where these remembrances are. I know we got them. Maybe it's locked away on purpose. I don't know. You were supposed to be able to see them before.
I had my doubts, but look at you. Only once before have I seen 2 great runes together. Look there. fingers shudder with exuberance. Fine work, brave Tarnished. The greater will is pleased. You have earned the right to become Elden Lord. Now, seek the Erd Tree and an audience with Queen Marika to become Elden Lord and restore the Golden Order. The fingers expect as much from you as they do young Gideon. Take this, a token of farewell.
That's right. By getting 2 great runes and coming and talking to Enya, we have access to a talisman pouch. A 4th one of these is, well, 3 talisman pouches, 4 talisman slots is fantastic.
Go forth. Become Elden Lord.
And 4 is what you get baseline. We do get access to 1 more in Elden Ring Reforged. However, I do not know where the last talisman pouch is. So, now that we have more or less dealt with... We've more or less dealt with the magical places of the world. First, a change of gear is in order. Well, actually, before that...
Queen Marika is the vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision. A god in truth. But after the Elden Ring's shattering, she was imprisoned in the Erd Tree. A grim punishment for shattering the Order, despite her godhood. The fingers speak. Marika's trespass demanded a heavy sentence. But even in shackles, she remains a god and the vision's vessel. Confer great runes to become Elden Lord and join Queen Marika as her consort. The fingers have willed it so. Now you may go.
Okay, so, remembrances. If we were to take this and make an item out of it right now, we would lose access to the ability to duplicate it for the foreseeable future. Let's not do that and go duplicate it first. But let's take a moment to read over this. I wanted to read over it earlier, but I just never I never actually got access to it. Remembrance of Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, hewn into the Erd Tree. The power of its namesake can be unlocked by the Finger Reader. Alternatively, it can gain a great bounty of runes instead. In her youth, Rennala was the prominent champion who charmed the Academy with her lunar magic, becoming its master. She also led the Glintstone Knights and established the House of Caria as royalty. So that tells you her lineage right there. She is a Carian royal, true and true, and the houses of the Golden Order and Caria were united in holy matrimony forevermore. Alas, that matrimony, that union, was broken. But before we go and receive our fines, let's make sure we pay attention to costs. Luckily, there is not a rune cost associated with redemption for these. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. I think Godric's Remembrance required some runes in order to get an item. We can get her gear. We should do this. I don't believe the Queen's set... Some sets have a bonus in Elden Ring Reforged. Some don't. Armor passives. Is that... Okay, that's been adjusted. Good, good. Sorry, I'm looking for something specific. No such luck. And what is the armor set called? Queen of the Full Moon set. Yep. Okay. That's not there yet. Okay, so we still need to purchase this for other reasons. We aren't even close to a level up, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, we're far better off using these for our own purposes. Let's read this. A tall crown depicting the moon, worn by Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, increases intelligence. And it would increase it, I think, by 3 points. When Rennala, head of both the Academy of Rhea Lucaria and the Carian royal family, lost her husband Radagon, her heart went along with him. And then those at the Academy realized that Rennala was no champion after all. Unfortunate. Very tragic. Robe indicating the highest order of sorcerer. So the reason we bought that gear, and I'm not sure that the Queen set is even eligible for this. I don't remember it being eligible in base Elden Ring, and I'll check it in. I'll check it here by going and talking to Bach. But we have the golden sewing needle, right? We haven't been able to give it to Bach yet. There's a reason for that. You need gear of a champion that you could tailor, but otherwise could not tailor by talking to Bach. Only by giving him the golden needle will he be able to do this himself, more or less. That is the reason for those purchases. Are we going to use that set? I mean, we should probably just put it on. It does waste our endurance. Like, it makes putting points in endurance meaningless, but hey, if people want to see the new set, they want to see the new set. You know, what else can I say? And we can enjoy the int boost in the meantime. But generally, in this playthrough, we're going to be wearing heavy armor. Here we are. This is the set. And our intelligence, yeah, is boosted by exactly 3 points. We can also get rid of that telescope now. We don't need it. Now, I did this without the Spelldrake Talisman. I beat the fight without it. If I were being honest, however, I probably still should have put it on. That is something that we will have to rectify in future encounters, where I show you what the optimal build is. In the meantime, though, we can now actually afford to put on the Graven School Talisman. We can actually boost our sorceries just almost full time. Gideon, what do you have to make of all this? Also, look what I'm wearing.
Well, I see you found another great rune. Wonderful. You are a worthy fellow tarnished indeed. Make the journey to the capital, Leyndell, that lies to the east of the Altus Plateau, at the foot of the Erd Tree. The Two Fingers will deny your passage no longer. You may be our best hope. Find your way to the Elden Ring, for we are tarnished, and we must answer the call of grace. The Academy of Rhea Lucaria lies to...
And then he goes back to giving information, more or less. So yeah, here we are. Also, we're barefoot. We get to enjoy that for a little while. I'm trying to think of what exactly we're doing next. Hopefully everyone got to enjoy that fight. Again, I do apologize for... Also, we have 3 Academy Glintstone staves. We should sell excess gear before we make any future switching that we need to make.
Well, I took you no matter it's out your own.
I didn't even think about the fact that we had duplicates just lying in our midst. And I think I know who's supposed to be home now. We have the Sorcerer Leggings. We have 2 copies of that. 2 copies of this. When everything looks the same, you know you got a problem with your armor design. But it's also realistic. Why would you change up designs on your gear if you don't need to, right? Like, if it's effective and it works. I do apologize for all the barking. Our lab is especially loud. She's just excited. She's excited that my stepmom is home from work. Just kind of scanning everything to make sure we have no duplicates. This is a process I don't generally like to do on camera that often, but if we need to do it, we need to do it. This isn't like Grim Dawn, where, you know, that could be like a whole half an hour, you know, trip or experience of just sorting through inventory. That's completely different. No one wants to sit through half an hour of inventory management. But this should only take a couple of minutes tops. Biggest part of this is probably just making sure there aren't duplicate weapons, like this one. If you wanted to farm runes, farming Noble Slender Swords would be how you do it. It is kind of a rare item, though. Let's see. The Crystal Sword. No, well, I mean, we do want to show that off eventually. Like, we want to be able to make use of all the different kinds of weapons and armors that boost our spells. Like, our playstyle is contingent on making good use of those things. But we're not ready to commit to a top-tier build or playstyle yet. I think that might have been a piece of dandruff or something. I watched it fall out of the corner of my eye. It scared me. I thought there was a gnat or something nearby. Yeah, the Clayman's harpoons we've had for a while. Let's fix that. Alright, that takes care of everything. Now we just switch over our glintstone staff, and we should be good to go. Yep. I mean, apart from her royal scepter, we've actually almost got the complete look. Who knows? Maybe as maybe her younger self was also a swordsman. I don't know. The sword doesn't look out of place. It even has a glintstone core at the tip. It just looks like it probably belongs to, you know, the Golden Order on top of belonging to other stuff. What was the description for this? Ah, astrologers. The astrologers might have been more martial combatants. More martially inclined combatants. Also, yes, we could resurrect Rennala herself and fight her over and over again if we wanted to. However, for the amount of runes we got out of that, honestly, Magma Worm Makar did just as well for 30k runes. He's not really worth the resurrection. And let's see. There was an enemy in particular that was worth, yeah, the Dragon Kid Soldier of Nox Stella is worth like 50k, and that is very, very worth the amount of resurrections. That is very much worth the time. Suppose before actually going on and getting the replicated remembrance, we should change fortunes. And finally change out our spells. Frostbite stacks now. So we can use Freezing Mist along with the appropriate generator, of course. Glintstone Pebble. Ambush Shard. We always want to have access to those. Freezing Mist, if we just want to stack debuffs like crazy, is good. Then we want Glintstone Ice Crag. Ancient Death Rancor. Let's start taking Gravity Well and Meteorite with us. And what else? Oh, I was going to show this off as well. The Cannon of Haima. And then I suppose, I'm not sure. Probably Glintstone Arc, so that we have access to a fast area clear. Hold on, I need to hear something. Sorry about that. Now, let's go and actually use a replicator, like a mausoleum usage. We get 7 of those, and I believe there are 11 remembrances to choose from for replication, so you will not be able to replicate them all. There may be more remembrances than that, but 11 is the number I remember there being. Also, we should take the quick opportunity to get some earthly flowers. I just need 3 of them. Then we can turn in that bell bearing and we should more or less be good to go. Want to be careful about that bat. Traveling at night is just the more dangerous pastime, period. Oh, okay. See, we've already used the Remembrance of the Grafted. I forgot about that. Well, okay, call me a liar then. I guess it doesn't matter if you use them or not. But let's go ahead and duplicate the Remembrance anyway. And then we can go and grab our brand new items. The Carrion Royal Scepter and the Full Moon. I believe the spell, I believe, are what we get access to. Yep, we have 2 of these. One for the Regal Scepter. I said royal. It's regal. Let's read these now. Magic Scepter of Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon. The glintstone is known as a Carrion Blue, enhancing full moon sorceries. Only those of the highest intelligence may wield this. The finest of all glintstone staves. Unique skill, Spinning Staff. Channel magic into the glintstone to suspend the scepter in midair and cause it to spin violently. Those it touches will suffer successive magic attacks, which is different than the spinning weapon. Spinning weapon does not deal magic damage. Spinning staff does. Additionally, as of 2 or 3 patches ago, the Carrion Regal Scepter now also provides block and deflection frames while it is out, as long as it is being channeled or used. So if you need a defensive move, Spinning Staff has you covered. We'll go ahead and grab this. And then the other one, Rennala's Full Moon. Sorcery symbolic of the Carrion Queen. Uses the caster as a vessel to incarnate a full moon, then sends it floating towards foes. The full moon dispels all sorcery that touches it, and temporarily reduces magic damage negation for those it strikes. Queen Rennala encountered this enchanting moon when she was young, and later it would bewitch the Academy. 65 intelligence. We probably aren't casting that this playthrough. But rest assured that we will cast it. Hey there, MRI69. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hope you enjoy your stay. Since a person has arrived in the chat, I'll take this opportunity to remind people that we are currently playing a mod of Elden Ring Reforged. It is a mod. It is an overhaul mod. Basically, it changes a lot of stuff. It doesn't change the lore, add new areas, or anything like that. It is just a, here are some custom spells. Sometimes armors have set bonuses. You can duck. You can... I cannot two-hand to show it off. Foliage. For 4 years, 8 months? You've been here a while. Yeah, well then welcome back to us then. I'm glad you could make it. I still hope you enjoy your stay either way. It really has been a long time. Well, let's just say my memory of people that I've met on stream isn't the best. There was a reason that I was on hiatus, and a lot of that had to do with personal life. I'm glad to be back though. And I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're here. I know. Botched greeting, right? But hopefully things in your life are going well enough. So, normally, and this is where I could sort of talk about Elden Ring Reforged a bit more. Normally in Elden Ring, in base game, which I will refer to base Elden Ring as from here on out. In base game, our next destination would likely be Caelid. Just due to the logical way that our quests kind of proceed and follow themselves. However, and this is really important, in Elden Ring Reforged, the scaling, Tony's stream, that's right. Asked for your Spotify playlist, you still have it? That's cool. I've stopped using Spotify for a while, like years. But I'm glad you have it. Hopefully you've been getting enjoyment out of it. But the last time I've seen anything on Spotify has been at least half a decade plus. Well, no. If I gave it to you, well, your follow age doesn't tell me when we met. I don't know which one of Tony's streams we met in. I don't remember, rather. But I think it's been at least half a decade since I've touched Spotify. I usually just use YouTube for all my musical needs, and it works well enough. I don't mind dealing with ads. I don't like ads, but I don't mind dealing with them. Still, regardless, I'm glad you're getting enjoyment out of it. I think I have a number of Spotify playlists. I think in Tony's stream I would have handed off one of either the rock playlists, or I would have handed off one of the synthwave playlists. One of those two things. I'm forgetting what I wanted to say. Yes. Okay. So in Elden Ring, the way that areas progress is by tiers. Like, certain realms are in certain tiers. For example, Limgrave, specifically around the Cave of Knowledge, or the first step, that section is like tier 1. Morgott is more like tier 6 when you first meet him. Whereas something like Caelid normally has like a tier, the tiers are all over the place. Am I misreading the tier scaling now that I'm looking at it? I think I might have misread. Because a ton of stuff shares scaling. Okay, yeah. Regardless, this explanation's been going well already, if you couldn't tell. I think Caelid's scaling was just all over the place. Now what's happened is, in Elden Ring Reforged, the scaling's a lot more consistent, and it follows a logical progression. So, the Stranded Graveyard, it has a tier of 0. Limgrave, the whole area, that's east and west, has a tier of 1. Weeping Peninsula has a tier of 2. Castle Morn and Margit himself, when you meet him the first time, have a tier of 3. Stormvale, a tier of 4. The Siofra Riverwell, a tier of 5, so on and so forth. It's logical. It scales. Where it gets tricky is where you go after that. But Kernifer's compiled a nice little list for us. I may upload a text copy as a command if you want to know more specifically about that. But I'll get in touch with Kernifer and figure that out. For those who don't know, Kernifer is the mod author of Elden Ring Reforged. If you want to know more about Kernifer specifically, you can type in !ERRA, all lowercase, no spaces, and you'll get taken to his mod author page. Most of it's kind of blank, though. It's really more for posterity than anything else. So, Redmane Castle, Carria Manor, and Fort Faroth are like 8. Caelid is like 7, so we're right on par. We could either go to Caelid or Altus. It doesn't really much matter. I think the more important parts of dealing with Altus before, the main reason you want to go to Altus Plateau first is for Celavis's questline, just to get access to the talisman he gives you. Silver Twitch Whisperer convo, by the way. You sent me the Spotify link and I asked you some questions. Gotcha. Sorry if I missed those. I'm trying to, like, multitask here. The main reason was to get the Amber Starlight for Celavis's quest. What we actually need to do now, before figuring out where we want to go, I know, I'm a fat liar in terms of progression. I just didn't read the tier scaling carefully enough, is we need to return back to the Siofra Riverwell. We need to go talk to Blythe again. As Blythe will have new things to say. One of the things we did before we completed Celavis's questline was to get information regarding how to complete Ronnie's quest. Like, what to do about that. And that's exactly what we're going to go do now. For those who are interested in the details regarding, like, exact changes that are made to, with the exact changes that are made in Elden Ring Reforged, if you type in !ERRW, it'll take you to the mod page not the mod page, it'll take you to a Google website that has the changelog in a nice drop-down menu. There are also tabs that you can open it with, and it's got all the changes categorized by what type they are. So weapon changes have their tabs, affinities have their own, weapon affinities will be in the weapons tab, crafting will be in the items and crafting tab, so on and so forth. It's a really nice website. And of course, if you want access to any of our commands, if you want access to any of our commands for any reason, you can type in !commands, all lowercase, all one word, and you can see all of that stuff for yourself. Always liked your vibe, seemed like a kind person. Aw, thank you. Appreciate that. I think I remember you being a relatively kind person yourself. God, I'm melting like butter over that compliment. Thank you. I kind of needed that. I've not been feeling the best lately. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back on streaming. And actually, that particular comment is... Oh, how dare you? I'll thank you to never come back, you silly ancestor. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, it's comments like that that really remind me that, you know, streaming as a decompression tool it was a good choice. I'm sure someone's going to come along and make me regret those words later, but what I honestly tell people is half the reason I stream, I the other half is I want to entertain people. Like, I play a variety of games. I like to entertain people, but honestly, if I didn't get any sense of enjoyment, if I felt drained or stressed, I probably wouldn't be streaming ever at all. Being able to come on camera and just either forget the troubles that I'm experiencing for the moment and or talking about them with people, that's it's therapeutic. That's the only way I know to say it. It's very therapeutic for me, and I'm glad that I'm here doing it. Sincerely, thank you for your compliment. I really appreciate it.
Ah, well met. What news? So Rani's fate is kept in stasis by Starscourge Radahn. That reminds me of something I heard. There's a festival being held at the castle on the southern edge of the Caelid Wilds, east of Limgrave. It's a festival of combat. And I heard that you can fight Radahn himself. He who's once called the strongest of all the demigods. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I think it's worth investigating. I'll be on my way to this festival of Radahn. You're coming too, right? To Radahn's festivities. I'll meet you at Redmane Castle in Caelid. The way ahead is pleasingly simple. We fight, sword and fang. You're coming too, right?
Okay. I'm sorry if you had bad experiences here with trolls. I mean, the worst experience I've had on this platform has been with, like, people threatening to physically hack me, which I guess is way worse than trolling, but, for some strange reason, I was actually less bothered by people threatening me with hacking than I was with anything else. Twitch has fairly straightforward guidelines about this. There's no negotiating with a hacker. There's nothing of the sort you have to do. You just block them, report them, and go about your merry business. Nah, the trolls are where it sort of gets complicated, but that's perfectly all right. But I appreciate your sympathies. Speaking of, like, exchanging words with a long time viewer, how are Tony's streams going? I haven't had the time lately to go back to those, and I don't know if you still watch, but as far as I understood, he was working on, like, creative stuff for streams, and it's just that Tony and I have very similar time slots. He used to be like a really late streamer, and admittedly I'm streaming late now, but that's only because I've missed my usual window for streams. I normally stream Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Friday is on YouTube, not Twitch. And we do some fun things over there. They're going great. He still does Souls often. That's good. Yeah, I've been there within, like, the past 90 days or 60 days. I know he does Souls content. I just know he had some setbacks with OBS. I heard I was there when he announced it on stream. Yeah, he's got a beautiful daughter, and I'm sure she will grow up to be a fine young lady. Given the time, I will of course be. Let's see, I'm 30. I'll be 48 when she becomes a fine young lady for herself, and I will look forward to seeing the person she becomes. That's the thing. I've heard a lot, and excuse my ranting for a moment. I've heard a lot of people on Twitter say now is a terrible time to have kids. And I suppose I could agree with that, but if you would like to see things change, and you're not going to be able to, sculpt things the way you want them, and or you're not going to be able to get benefits out of it for yourself, having children to help keep that fight that fight alive, that cause important, is a good thing. In my mind, you don't want to sculpt warriors, but every parent imparts their values on their children, and if you truly believe in a cause, and they are truly the right kind of cause, then teaching your children to fight for that cause for themselves is also a good thing. And we have to perpetuate better human beings for the rest of the world as well. We can't just surrender to all the negativity. If we did, no one would have children. If you don't want to have children for your own reasons, I say you, I mean a collective you, not you specifically, MRI, that's fine. I don't judge people for... I don't know what this is for. I'll go ahead and remove that marker now. If people don't want to have children for themselves, that's fine. You only need your own reasons. But, we don't want to be convincing people to just not have children at all. That is a personal decision, and nothing else. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. I'm speaking too real for today's LP. Really, I am. But like, it's hard to say because this is a topic that people are surprisingly sensitive about. You wouldn't think so. I never did get the earthly flowers. We can fix that. It's a topic that people are surprisingly sensitive about. People get incensed as though they're being told, hey, you must have children. Or, hey, you must not have children. And people always get incensed when they're being told what to do. That's just an honest fact of human existence. Humans are individualistic creatures at the end of the day. I personally wouldn't have kids anytime soon. World's going downhill. Yeah, I can understand that reasoning. Don't like putting your nose in other people's business. Yeah, it's more so that. Like, if people want to have kids, I'm going to assume that they took some time to think about it. Of course, there's always the cases where people don't think about it and, just accidentally end up having kids or accidentally finding out they can't have kids. There are always those cases in life. But you can't live life that way. You can't live life on what ifs or, it's important to think about the long term, but you can't be paralyzed in fear by it either. Okay, good sir, if you wanna... Sure. Just go and Goron roll right into me. That's fine. And since I know that you are you're probably familiar with base Elden Ring, just putting this out there as a quick PSA. We are in patch 4.69, and one of the, he didn't like your opinion. I guess apparently not, if he felt he needed to, Goron roll right into me. Frostbite stacks now, is the PSA I want to put out there. That was changed as of this patch. The damage output and the debuff has been adjusted accordingly, but all of the major status types except sleep now stack on themselves, which is really freaking cool. Getting back to my other conversation, I understand people's reasoning, and that reasoning for the world's going downhill is really quite common. I find it to be personally saddening, but I understand it. I'm personally going to have kids, and specifically I'm going to adopt kids, or I'll surrogate kids with whoever my life partner might be. And I don't know who that life partner is going to be yet. I haven't even put myself out there in the market for that. I'm not ready for a partner yet. But whoever I choose to have children, and I'm just using that as a general term of phrase here, you know, that person should also want to have kids. And having children is beautiful. Adopting children is beautiful. Surrogating children with a woman who consents is beautiful. People who want to teach their children the zest of life and make the whole world better by raising good children is something we should live for. It is something worth living for. Self-preservation is important. Species preservation is important. And things can't change if we never bother to actually prep the future generations for it either. I realize that's an entirely philosophical argument. I realize that when you really stop and you remove the personal feelings from it, you know, it actually sounds rather sinister, but I promise I'm not talking with that worldview in mind. It really is a matter of I'm all for philosophy. Yeah, it's one of those humans can't. We're just gonna do the quick version for this. Thank you. Sorry, I have a hard time talking philosophy when I've got a woman who is essentially a carbon copy of the invader from PS3, hacking at me with a giant knife. At least give me an axe if you're gonna do that. And one last blast should do it. Never mind. That was Anastasia. She is known for giving casters a very hard time, whether in base Elden Ring or not. But in terms of our previous conversation, I neither want to dissuade nor encourage people to have children on their own. I know what my viewpoint on the matter is, and I know what everyone else's viewpoint on the matter is. I more or less wish that everyone would just kind of come to that conclusion on their own, with their own reasoning, whether that is by talking to someone else, or talking to a doctor, talking to a therapist, all that fun stuff. Having children, adopting children, raising children is a very involved process. And it requires a lot of deep thinking, and that it's the type of deep thinking that people really shouldn't rush to a conclusion on. Thinking about children should take, I don't know, multiple years of thinking about it, and I'm sure some of the responses out there about, you know, the world's downhill, you know, it's a terrible time to have children. I'm sure people have been watching and formulating the opinion in that amount of time I've just specified, you know, like half a decade or more. I'm not trying to illegitimize or delegitimize that opinion either. I just think it's sad when instead of bringing children into the world to make it better and or at least keep the good times going, people are scared. People want to try to fix the world before having children, perhaps not fully realizing that the world might never be a better place. We can't have that old Earth back. We just can't. We can only move forward on the Earth we have, with the people we have, with the groups that are out there, with the history that's there. That's all we can do is move forward. And I know I'm not exactly looking into the camera when I say all this, but that is the streamer's struggle, is constantly making sure that you know, they don't miss chat messages. But yeah, children is just a very complicated topic. I could probably amble about this for hours if I really had the time and the necessary prep. I kind of don't. And my memory hasn't exactly been improving in my age. I'm 30 now. I'm not 26. And I've been dealing with long COVID as well. and my memory has just generally gotten worse all around. So these types of big discussions, I usually like to walk in with a sheet or some kind of preparation time now. I don't usually just like to have them off the cuff. And it's not that I shy away from discussions or anything, it's just when your memory has gone, when your memory is fleeting, when it fails and everything you get is in glimpses or in momentary breakpoints, the ability to have long, detailed discussion kind of comes down to speaking it all the time. I talk about this stuff with my dad all the time. He and I could not be more different in terms of our outlook, our opinions, everything. But because of the fact that I spar with him so often, I've sort of honed many of these subjects to a point where, long COVID or not, I can talk about them. And I'm not going to let the remnants of a disease affect my ability to speak. It does, but I'm not going to let them deter me from being able to have a conversation about them. It just means I have to approach them differently. That's all. So, welcome to Caelid. Just as a brief change of subject, welcome to Caelid. A rotting land full of scarlet rot. I know, quite the revelatory sentence. It was a land that was touched by Melania's scarlet rot, as Gideon Ofnir has already told us, and it is a big place. We have been here before. We were here when we got the ability to go to Geraint and give him Death Root. But we never really touched the place apart from that. Well, we're going to change that now. I think some people don't take smart decisions like having children without even being financially stable. In your country, a lot of people have this concept that God will provide for the children, but they don't even realize they can't afford basic needs and decide to have 6 children. Exactly. Like, people don't think through this stuff. And I think a convenient detail that a lot of religious types like to leave out, I am a heavily religious person myself. So I can comment from personal experience, having just watched people speak. I people watch a lot. I will often stay silent and just let whole conversations play out, because I want to observe what people are doing. Is that I'll take Christianity, because that's my own faith. A lot of people forget that the way that God likes to interact with people is through intermediates, because people cannot handle the sight of him. Just him looking at you is death. Just looking directly at the sight of God is death. And God getting involved, it is more or less akin to a global reset button. People don't want God getting involved directly, which is why interacting through intermediates is important for our protection. As a result, I think it's incredibly important that... How do I word this? Christianity and several other of these faiths around the world are defined by their actors. Because these monotheistic religions more or less say that looking directly at God, or the equivalent, is death, it's important to take the words of their intermediaries seriously. And the way in which that will is being exercised is through those intermediaries. So for every case you hear about Catholic priests who are pedophiles, you also have the case where several Catholic churches also have food shelters, soup kitchens, other services. Those people are the ones really exercising God's will, as I call it. I think it's important that if you're a true believer in the faith, that you perpetuate good works and you work to help humanity, because we're all supposed to be each other's stewards. It takes a village, right? So all this talk, all this pettiness, you know, all this violence that's out there now, a lot of it is justifiable. Some of it is never is. But the state of the world is largely because people, or at least I should say a large part of it. I should say some of it. Some of it is definitely because I think people who were supposed to be the stewards of goodwill have forgotten exactly how their faith works. They have forgotten that they are supposed to be true living examples of faith. In case of Christianity, people have forgotten that even though good works don't exactly save you from going to hell, good works and doing things for the good of your people is still important. Yeah, it's religion's an even more sensitive subject, but my viewpoint pretty much is if you act in humanity's best interests, you are serving God's greater will. In my opinion, if you help people find affordable housing, it doesn't have to be free housing, but it should be affordable housing. If you help people, keep from starving, if you treat their needs, if you remember to wash their feet, then you are serving the greater will. You are God's agent. You are doing his work. And anyone who is truly wicked, those who steal, those who lie, those who murder, all of them will get their comeuppance in the end through another agent of God, whether that be the police, the government, or a vigilante who's seen it all and had enough, who knows the truth. All three of those people all three of those kinds of people are also doing God's work, in my opinion. I've heard of similar things. Your religion's quite similar to Christianity. Not that you believe in it anymore, but yeah, I hear you. I take on a very agnostic worldview to a lot of my more hardcore Christian friends. I'm considered the agnostic among the group, and it's not even that, or a deist. I'm closer to one of those kinds of people. That being said, I can't blame people for losing their religion, and that's a song title as well. I can't blame people because there are a lot of bad actors, in the world. There are a lot of bad actors who will use any kind of organization, any kind of group in order to hide their true intentions. You would also put yourself pretty close to deism. Yeah, the belief that there is a greater force out there, but we're not exactly aware of what it is. Because if scientific processes and scientific theories that have been sculpted through evidence could in fact prove everything, there would be no room for a higher power at all. But because there will always be some semblance of the unexplained, and we live in a world that doesn't have magic of any kind, there are no supernatural forces that we can just directly control. We need to have a medium that exercises the physics. In order to have a taser, for example, we need to make sure we have certain kinds of cells or wires in a gun to do it. We need to be able to construct the tool to do it. I forgot where I was going with this, but regardless of exactly where I was going with it, clearly there is a higher power in play. It's just that not everything can be provable by science. Also, science only ever disproves anything. I'm a STEM major myself. For those who don't know about me, I am a biology major. I am looking to major in cellular and molecular biology, which means I know how life works on a chemical level, more or less. Am I there yet? No. But I'm studying that stuff. But all the science we ever do only ever disproves either a theory we already have, or it rejects our null hypotheses. And the null hypothesis just is this has no effect, or this thing that happened is due to random chance and not anything else. That's all a null hypothesis is. That's 99% of science. The 1% is the exceptions. Religion and spirituality address why we do things. They address morality. Science is not a moral thing. It is empirical. It just is. Religion and spirituality address the why. And of course, we're trying to solve a problem that cancer can be there can very much be spirituality tied to it. Okay, here's hoping that my mic is good. OBS does this a lot, which is why I've been really clamoring about YouTube streaming, if I'm being perfectly honest. You can hear me? Good. Good. So, like I was saying before, and I'm not sure where I messed up, but I'll try to summarize my viewpoints since I know OBS will just screw up again. I usually get about 2,000 dropped frames or so. Science and spirituality are both equally important things in society or otherwise. And I hate to use this word because people are going to hear it a lot, but there's a nasty 7-letter word that I always like to use when I'm referencing the bigger picture. And that bigger picture is balance. 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 Everything in balance. Everything in moderation. Everything is part of the bigger picture, and you can't just wholly commit yourself to one side or another. Yes, picking sides and making choices is important. Yes. But if you're so far into your own line of reasoning that you cannot accept when people put something before you that either challenges your worldview or that challenges your process, then you have a lot more growing to do as a human being. We all are constantly need growth. That's just a matter of life, but I think it's vitally important that we're able to learn from the things that people show us and constantly be willing to accept new inputs as either truth or a challenge. That type of growth is, I think, sorely missing in today's society. And I speak like I'm a boomer, but what I mean is I just think people have sort of lost sight of that. Thanks for that. I like to tell people I'm not smart, I just pay attention. That's all I do, is I try to read the temperature in the room. I'm a very socially awkward person. This conversation would get me in a lot of trouble with my friends in real life, actually. And me and my sibling have had many quarrels on the subject, in which I've had to correct my wording like 1,000 times. But thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Can't even speak about these things this openly in your country? A lot of religious extremists? Ah, makes sense. And for the record, I am sorry that you can't be more open about these things personally in your own country. I hope that one day humanity can get to that point And it's probably going to take a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and policy change to make that happen. It's going to take people being willing to put their lives on the line to make that type of change necessary where people can openly discuss these things. It's really sad when you can't discuss these things openly, or when, the powers that be want to stymie this for their... they want to stymie discussion for their own reasons. I probably just want to be drinking a flask right now. It's okay, but a socially anxious person yourself, just want to let you know you're doing great. Thank you. Yeah, keep hopping around. Yeah, these Guardians of the Erdtree are a little bit of a handful for casters. They will move. They do the whole animation reading thing. You just kind of have to take your time with them. Get them by surprise. That's all you can do. And they love poisoning their weapons, too. Just to make sure this is still a LP and hasn't turned into a full-on stream yet. Sorry, not trying to stymie conversation. Yeah, I'm hoping that at some point, the world just gets to a point where we can talk about anything. And yes, that does mean that, freedom of speech isn't important. Don't be hard on yourself if you find yourself in a socially anxious situation. Self-compassion helps a lot. Thanks. Yeah, I do try to remind myself that everyone else has conversations just like this on stream. Or, elsewhere. I really do try to remind myself of that. But because I watch people, because I study people, like if I didn't know any better, I would just go sit in a subway and probably get accused of staring a lot. I do sincerely like to people watch that much. I really struggle to rein that in every day. And I'm aware of the kind of tension that makes people tense up, get anxious. I guess that probably is what I'm responsive to. It's not so much emotions. I have a terrible time reading emotions. I much prefer if people just come out and say what they have to say about something. But I can read tension. I can read when people tense up and get uncomfortable. And I know to be on edge about that. I know to watch what I say. Like, with my sibling, therapy helped you a lot. You've improved a lot, of course. But I don't think it's ever going to go away. Makes me at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly. We all have our own. I wish I were emotionally intelligent. I tell people this whenever the subject comes up. I have a 38 out of 100 on the last emotional quotient test I took. It's a 38 out of 100. Means I'm below average. Means I struggle with these things. I am a neurodivergent individual, and the side effect of that is I'm not necessarily the best when it comes to reading emotions. The only thing I can say is I can read tension. I can read when things are going to be a physical problem. But I like to think I have some kind of emotional intelligence. I just have to work at it more than anything else. Yeah, that's really about it. It's just I have to work at it. I could probably sense energies. Yeah, that's a good way of wording it. It's not that I can read emotions. I can sometimes, but it's reading the physical energy in a room. That's the trade-off. My sibling, on the other hand, oh no, they're an empath. They're very emotionally intelligent. You don't even have to say anything, and they can figure out if you're upset or, tense about something. Now, their reaction may not be the best to it, but that's a quality of them and not so much their skill set. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, for me, it's just reading the tension in a room. I'm actually going to do that yourself. This emotional intelligence test. Do you recommend any? Talk to your therapist. There are dozens of online tests out there. None of them hold any credit or meaning. If you really want to find out your EQ, you've got your emotional quotient. You got to go talk to your therapist to get that kind of test set up, and they'd probably be more than happy to supply one for you. They can do that along with other diagnostic tests as well. Typically, they give out those sorts of tests when you are trying to obtain a diagnosis. Sometimes you can just request one without a diagnosis, but typically they put all that stuff together in one package. The reason I happen to know this, I've never been to a therapist in my entire life, well, that's not true. I was in therapy as a teenager slash younger child, but ever since I've turned probably 17 or 18, I haven't been in therapy since. The reason I know about it is, as a neurodivergent individual in U.S. schools, you get what is called an Individual Education Plan, an IEP, all caps. And in your IEP, they often include those sorts of psychological analysis tests, like where your emotional and intelligence quotients are, your ability to recognize spatial, like your spatial IQ, your ability to be able to have spatial and temporal recognition and memory, all that stuff. I know it from that. I wouldn't be surprised if my emotional intelligence quotient has changed since then. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but until I go take a test, I'm pretty confident that 38 is below average, but it's not. What's the word I'm looking for this? I know there's a specific word and I'm just not thinking of it. But I'm not despondent. I don't just I don't have trouble with emotional expression. I just have trouble communicating that to people sometimes, and I have trouble reading it in other people without being prompted to do so. It's not drastically low. Exactly. It's not drastically low. I can do it. I have to. Alright, phone, you've done this for the last time. My apologies for my inappropriate times on the phone there. 38 at least sounds better than average. The average is 50. Most humans can at least... there's an ambient level of being able to read someone's emotions. Typically, the type of emotional intelligence displayed on TV. That is probably the best way I know to describe it. It's you can tell by a person's face what kind of emotion they're wearing, but the precise one they're wearing is difficult for the average person. The person would have to tell you that. I think I've been standing here for 15 minutes. Would have to tell you whether or not the emotion really is the truth. Part of it is philosophy, and part of it is just my neurodivergence. But I have a tough time even with that. I don't like to assume that people's facial expressions tell the truth about their emotions. I don't like to assume that stuff at all. It makes me very uncomfortable. I much prefer to just have people tell me these things. And I think because of my unwillingness to assume what the emotional truth is, I often register as having a lower than average emotional intelligence quotient. These Guardians never get any easier. Yeah, I don't like to assume things about people. I'd rather ask. And sometimes, when someone's in a very troubling emotional state, even asking the questions, are you okay, or what's wrong, can be triggering. They can be volatile. And that all it takes is someone just asking the question. And sometimes it's better to leave people alone when they're in those states. I also have issues with that. So my emotional intelligence quotient makes sense. I have to focus. I have to tune out everything else. and just watch that person interact with people. I have to watch that person behave for a while. I think a hug helps in such situations. I would say in most cases, yes. You'd still have to ask for it, of course, but people don't like being touched without consent. I'll use myself as an example. When I want a hug, I'll ask for one, and I only ask people I trust for a hug. I'm not a touchy person at all. If someone hugs me and I don't even know who they are, I'll freak out. Or I'll let the hug happen and then say, please don't do that. I don't like being touched without my consent or without understanding that the hug is what's being asked for. And it kind of depends on the friend groups I have. I have acquaintances on college campuses that are very touchy people. I tend to let the occasional hug slide. But if, as far as like a random person, no, I'd freak out. Where did that... Oh, there must be someone fighting up there. So, I don't talk during boss fights, so I kind of want to get the explanation for this boss out of the way now. This is the Putrid Erdtree Avatar. They fight exactly like your minor Erdtree avatars, except that instead of a holy explosion whenever they ground pound, it is Scarlet Rot instead. And it's very nasty. And I believe we don't even come equipped with magma sorcery, so we're kind of stuck hitting things they're resistant to. But hey, we generally have enough power to overcome resistance now, especially with the gear we have. We're kind of going to go over the resistances, immunities, and weaknesses before we fight. So to help people out, I generally like to showcase my boss spreadsheet command. And I typically like to preview it before we fight. That way people know exactly what it is I'm doing. So let's find the Putrid... let me see if I can't find it. Yep, here we go. The Erdtree Avatar. Putrid. So, they're typing. All that fun stuff. Just remember something? You used to say this a lot. Tips Fedora. Yes, I used to say that. Now I have an emote. I've had an emote for a while, but typically instead of saying Tips Fedora, I like to use this thing now. It's a hat with lightning coming out of it. It's fantastic. But I do have other top hats I can put on if people really want to, people really want me to tip fedoras. Speaking of fedoras, you love that line? Yeah, this was before I had any emotes. I can see why people might like it. It's transparent. It's obvious. But yeah, I have real hats. And of course I'm wearing headphones, so my real Trilby doesn't exactly appear on screen too well, but yep, I have two of these. This one is my favorite. It's a red or a burgundy hat with a red sash through it. I'm not wearing the formal attire today, but if I did, and I weren't wearing a pair of headphones, I likely would. In fact, one of the things people can do with their channel points, I do have amperes, the currency. If you're willing to pay about 2,500 amperes, I think. Yeah, I think it's 2,500. I can put this on stream, and I'd have to try to make room for it. I'd probably have to take my headphones off to wear it while I'm playing, but that's neither here nor there. I know how to play Elden Ring without audio, so I can do it. But, yeah, I have an emote for that stuff now, and it's a lot more. A lot of people do better with emotes than the air quotes tips fedora. I only use that if I really need to. Hydrate. Well, hot diggity darn, I don't have a drink. I need to go get some water. I will be right back. Give me just 1 second. Okay. My apologies. Here is the bottle of water. Hashtag not sponsored by Smart Water. Ugh, that's better. Thank you. The hydrate command really only tells me to drink with a beverage I have on hand, but yeah, in this case I had to go get actual water. Thought I'd do that. Thank you. I normally like to stock up on drink during intermissions, which we are overdue for one by about 55 minutes. That's okay. I liked talking with you. I still do like talking with you. What was I gonna say? Oh, right. Going over the boss. Want to make sure I do that. So the Putrid Erdtree Avatar, it might be the Blighted one too. I think my intention was to hydrate. Thank you. With water. Probably helps with headaches too. Headaches due to dehydration. Putrid, all Erdtree avatars are the god type. If we're dealing with the Blighted one, I believe they are also the undead type as well. In all cases, the Erdtree avatars have exactly the same defense and poise. Each avatar has 35 defense and 120 poise, so it's tough to stagger them, but you can do it. For the Putrid, actually, do they all have the same? They all have the same physical damage resistances. So, in all cases, Erdtree avatars take 5% more from slashing damage and 5% less from piercing damage. We're not going to be really worried about that with our caster build. For elemental damage typing, yes, there are differences. In the case of the one we're actually fighting, they take 50% more fire damage. The others take 25% more. All Erdtree avatars take 10% less magic, 15% less lightning, and 25% less... No, I'm sorry, there's a difference there as well. The non-blighted Erdtree avatars take 25% less from holy damage sources. The blighted ones, which are undead, have no weakness or resistance to holy damage. Finally, the Putrid avatars, the ones we're concerned about, are only vulnerable to Deathblight and Frostbite, and out of those two status effects, they are partially resistant to Deathblight. We don't have any ways to inflict this yet. We do not have Fia's Mist or anything like that. So we have Frostbite, and they have a normal amount of resistance to it. So this fight should actually go over okay, with Frostbite stacking and all of that now. Now that I've gotten that lovely explanation out of the way, all other than the ground pound, the other attacks are the same with the Erdtree avatars, so just by paying attention, you should mostly have it. You'll just have to remember to carry boluses or something. We do not have any boluses, so instead I will go for a immunizing cured meat before the boss. There is also a, if you wanted to, we're trying to boost our damage, but if you really wanted to, we can wear the immunizing horn charm for this, which will drain poison and rot. In fact, I think I might, since we're so light now, I'm gonna take off. It was wonderful talking to you. You too, MRI. I really appreciate you stopping by. I mean that. I hope things get better for you in your country eventually. Not gonna happen today, but eventually. And I hope that your life continues to be successful. And with that, stay safe out there. Know that our hallowed storm halls are always will always roll out a carpet for you. And with that, have a good rest of your day. And I will see you around sometime. I think we'll probably get rid of the Erdtree's favor for this. We don't really need the extra equip load with the light gear we're carrying. yeah, that should help us out in this fight. We also have the Sword of Night and Flame, which already drains status effects as well. So we shouldn't really be getting rotted out, but you never know. You never know about these things. So, since I don't talk during boss fights, I've covered everything that we need to go over. I will see you guys on the other side of this. That didn't take long. Yeah, I got greedy there and cast spells without minding too much about what I was doing. Yeah, don't do that. The Putrid Erdtree avatars hit really hard. All we could do is try again. Thankfully, these aren't too hard. They really aren't. And, of course, we get our very, very nice Viridian Burst Crystal and Flame Shrouding Cracked tier. Each of those does exactly what it says on the box. Take a quick look at these. Temporarily boosts fire attack and mixed physic. And the Viridian Burst Crystal tier boosts stamina recovery speed. So this is our our talisman in the form of a flask, which they do stack with each other, which is good to know. We're going to put back on the Erdtree's Favor. Having that extra recovery speed is just nice. Also, we're at light load. More iframes are rewarded to us at light load compared to medium load or heavy load. We normally operate at medium load in this playthrough, so this is like the first time we're getting like a real light load, and I can't say I dislike it. Now, if I remember or recall correctly, there should also be a like a knot or something nearby, or a catacomb. I think there's a catacomb nearby. Also, Yeah, this is what Meteorite looks like now. Meteorite is a single meteor now. It's really good. And Meteorite of Estelle, when we get to it, it has 3 meteors now. So we're in a lot better position to actually make use of the single meteorite. Does it stagger as much? No, it doesn't, but that's fine. Meteorite is a more accurate spell now. Really good stuff. Go ahead and take another sip of water. Okay. Now that I've done that, as a general reminder, let me just make sure that that wasn't something important. No. Nothing important. It was part of like a mod group that I'm part of. Not Elden Ring Reforged. Speaking of which, if you want to really make sure you're interacting with me, the Elden Ring Reforged Discord is the best place to go if you want to talk at me directly. Just get my thoughts or anything. Just use the right channels, guys. That's all I ask. I don't want to bring people in who are just going to flagrantly violate Discord rules. That's not a good look for anyone. I love all of you with my whole entire being, but I don't want to have to get harsh on people because they just didn't pay a reasonable amount of attention to Discord protocols. So, since I have not taken an intermission at the normal amount of time that I otherwise would, we're going to take a double-length intermission. So this one's going to be 10 minutes. I really got to get up and stretch my legs. Just keep bad things from happening to me. Don't want to bring on DVT any more than I already do in my lifetime. So this would be a great time to get a snack, go grab dinner, go snuggle up with loved ones, catch up with them. I mean, you could do those things anytime, but intermissions are a great time to do all of what I just said. And we will be back right after the commercial break. We're going to run a 3-minute ad, seeing as how we're running at double the intermission length, but I've said all I'm going to say on that matter. I will see you guys then. Oh dear. I'm very sorry about that. He says as he immediately has to bend over, or, just use his feet. Humans, don't forget, you got feet. Use them. You can grab things. Can you do them as well as if you got little thummies? No, of course not. But, hey, you use what you've got to your advantage. Don't bend over if you don't have to. Not good for your back to bend over. Well, I mean, it's not harmful. It just doesn't help your back either. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. I'm always conscious about my appearance. Something tells me I didn't shave or trim properly. So, preview. We're pretty much just going to start exploring Caelid properly. We have the ability to do this now. We do want to make our way to Gale Tunnel so we could talk to Iron Fist Alexander, but that could be something separate. Here, we're going to just enjoy the sorceries we have access to. Although, actually, now that I'm being perfectly honest with myself, still don't have enough Erd leaf flowers. I almost called them Erd tree flowers. Yeah, we're pretty much just going to start exploring catacombs. Now, I missed this during my first playthrough of, Elden Ring period. I did not know there was a catacomb behind here. It blended so well into the shadows that I just thought there was nothing. Also as a little bit of a warning, and I hate breaking subjects so rapidly like this, but I do want to let people know I'm probably going to be ordering food here shortly. Well, shortly, I mean within the next 40 minutes. I'll take a shorter break for that. But yeah, my plan is to order food. I haven't had anything since, really since this afternoon, before I went back to sleep. I'd like to fix that. I'd like to actually put nourishment into my body, and I'm not exactly in the best mood for tonight's leftovers, but I will make do if that is what I need to do. That being said, yeah, I'm sorry, getting back to where we were just a moment ago, a lot of the just checking for illusory walls, a lot of the catacombs in Caelid have this multi-leveled verticality to them. Not all of them do, and sometimes there are tricks hidden underneath the shaft like this one. We're going to explore above the shafts first, of course, but yeah, never be afraid to roll around checking walls. Never be afraid to press buttons and look down elevator shafts to make sure you don't miss random stuff just happening in there. You never know when there's going to be a secret. You never know when there's going to be something hidden underneath the floorboards, and all you have to do is claw, scrape, and peel to find it. Ah yes, this room. This room has dark, scarlet rot-infested water. What do we want to do with this room? Pretty simple. We're going to take our preserving boluses and probably make about 5 of them. Hopefully we won't ever need to use them. In fact, what we should probably do for this place is to just put on the immunizing horn charm so that we could actually kind of help drain off effects. I'm trying to think of what else. We could probably two-hand our sword as well. Yep, see, look. That's beautiful frostbite procs, isn't it? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a really bad. A really, really bad, like, slow, overhanded swing. But alas, we can also just... Oh, nice. Something got Scarlet... Wait, these things aren't immune to Scarlet Rot? What? They're supposed to be. I don't know if that's supposed to be, like, the case. I'll have to talk to Kernifer about that. Yeah, but there's no reason we can't, you know, just use our generators on this. It's nice to have different options. And, you know, sorcerers have something that's akin to, or I should say, those who use sorceries have basically have their own version of poison mist. It's now freezing mist. Which is just beautiful. Yeah, I actually think this change is really cool. Just the matter of changing it so that frostbite procs happen all the time is just chef's kiss. It's perfect. This is just what frost builds were missing. And you can still reset it with fire if that is truly what you want to do. It's just such a great change. We're just going to get back. Yeah, we can't go... We can't be in here we can't be in the center of the room too long. One, Scarlet Rot buildup, and two... because we're gonna get pots and stuff thrown at us. Thankfully, all you have to do is just kind of keep your distance and use your spells accordingly. That's pretty much how it is most of the time in Elden Ring. You know, just keep calm and use your tools like you were taught to do so, and you will be just fine. The issue comes in during times of stress where you kind of can't. Scarlet Rot does stack. I know that much. I'm not sure it stacks on players. I believe all player versions of Scarlet Rot and all enemy versions of enemy Scarlet Rot are the same. Like, the way they interact with one another is the same. Just like with poison. With poison, all instances of deadly poison as of patch 4.62 no longer have any meaning. That text has been removed. And there never was any deadly poison, even in base game. Well, poisons also had different strengths to start with, but it was always a misleading piece of text. So, for what it's worth, I'm glad that if this mod is the death knell to toxic, I am more than happy for that death knell to exist. I'm glad that there is not deadly poison or deadly rot, none of it. What's also really nice is with our Graven School Talisman, our spells are really hitting quite hard. But 2 Glintstone Ice... Wow. Only about 2 Glintstone Ice Frags are required to kill most things, and the stuff that generally takes 3 or more, well, you were already expecting to have to shell out a lot of... You're already expecting to have to shell out a lot of FP in the first place. So I'm grateful that that doesn't have to happen. I'm grateful that you know, we have this power, this accessibility available to us now. And the frost builds being effectively the same as poison builds, with a different proc, is just mwah, perfection. I just can't help but be ecstatic over that change. It's such a good one. Now we need to do something about bleed as well. Well, we don't need to do something about bleed, or like blood loss. It can be instant. I do, however, think there is room to sort of soften blood loss a little bit. Make it so that it has a periodic effect and an instant effect, or it does something else besides damage. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe blood loss can make spellcasting costs more of a problem. Or maybe, well, bosses don't exactly run out of FP. They have a stamina bar, and their actions are slowed if they don't have a whole bunch, but they don't, if a caster can cast spells, they can cast an infinite number of those spells. Gideon Ofnir cannot run out of FP. He casts infinite spells. So, you know, if you can't kill him in the opening, and you really, really can't kill him in the opening in Reforged anymore without the right builds, you're going to have to do something to slow him down. And Frostbite is probably how you would do that. Deathblight and Madness are also good status effects on Gideon, and he's only somewhat resistant to those. Don't need to pull the lever, we just need to go down. Yeah, and our Pebble's even starting to hit pretty darn hard. So you know your build's coming together if your Pebble is hitting for like 140 to 200 per cast. And for how fast it comes out, it's just fantastic. And I don't even feel like I have to be that attached to my spells. I can just switch whenever I feel like it. And of course, Cannon of Haima recently got a power boost. It does eat up FP like the devil, but the FP boost is just fantastic. I still can't believe these things are not immune to their own scarlet rot. I really don't feel like that this is intentional. I feel like that is a bug. It needs to be addressed. I don't know how that's going to work yet. Okay. That was a good one, Slime. I wasn't ready for you. But just keep your calm when situations like that happen, and you will be just fine. I'm not sure if this is the way up. No, this is the way to the boss. That is a long way to go for a boss. I proceed to break pot. Hiya! I'm going to bonk my head on the pot and break it. I am a martial artist incarnate. I don't need to protect my face with a fancy helmet. I know right away what I'm doing. And I even walk in scarlet rot with my bare feet. I digress. Joking aside, this is our path upward. Gotta be careful. There are all kinds of things. Are those crabs? Those are freaking crabs, just waiting in the catacombs for us, eating their curds and whey as they sit in a corner. It's probably not curds and whey, it's probably like scarlet rot grass or something. Let's go ahead and just get rid of those crabs. You don't want crabs in your cellars. Call animal pest control if you see that happening. I believe there's a bigger crab burrowed somewhere around here. Oh, nice. Those are some unusually aggressive crabs. I'm not used to them just kind of making a rapid mad dash towards someone. There has to be a crab. There has to be a larger crab lying in wait. Probably around right here or so. And if not, I'm gonna be pleasantly reminded that we don't have all that to deal with. Take another sip of my water. Thanks again, MRI. Hydration is important, kids. Remember that. I'm even feeling more alert now that I've had some actual water. Maybe I'm suffering the effects of long-term dehydration. I don't know. Maybe my memory issues are because I'm not drinking water. And just like how most problems can be attributed due to being overweight, because being overweight affects everything. Absolutely everything about you. Your physiology, your chemical makeup, all of it. When the doctor says, you know, lose some weight, yeah, they could say it more nicely, but it's the truth. But just chemically speaking, having all of those chemicals stored up as fat is a problem. And I promise the doctor is only really saying it in that manner because they have to, not because they want to. Like if you're if you've got a familial position and they're a familial physician and they're always telling you to lose weight, I promise it's not because they don't recognize the speech you had with them about, yes, doctor, I know I need to lose weight. I just don't want to yet. They have to control. That's all I could say. Just get used to. They lose their jobs if they don't tell you that. And if they don't lose their it probably isn't because they're actually threatened with job loss, but it's like these are the things that the internal review boards say your doctors need to say these things or you should fire them. That sort of thing. It's the indirect loss of job I'm talking about. Imp Head Wolf. It holds trace amounts of lupine endurance. Oh, that will offset some that'll offset some stat losses from fortunes. Not that we need to offset those, just pointing out that we do suffer stat losses from from using these fortunes in exchange for stat gains elsewhere. Just gonna make sure there aren't walls. I don't remember there being walls. Again, there are like 17 illusory walls and X number of illusory floors. It's really not, they're just placed in very natural locations that are hard to tell. But hey, there's something unnatural here. I think FromSoft kind of overestimated their player base on that one. Spell it out a little. Make it a little obvious something's wrong, and it doesn't have to blend in perfectly. Of course, I say overestimate. That's probably not the right word I should be using. It's more like, I think in a post-pandemic world where people's senses are constantly assailed by chemicals and injections. I think that people's sense of vision, acuity, and hearing are all being tested every single day. And the ability to see imperceptibly small differences in how something appears to the human eye is just not there like it used to be. I believe in, I want to say it's an Erdtree Burial Watchdog is here. There are a number of things that like to, actually be here, but I forget exactly which one. However, the process for, not talking during these boss fights remains the same. Also, is my hair clipping through this? No, there's a blood spatter on it. Okay. Okay. It is. Need to kill Sword Guy first. Yep. I needed to kill him faster. We were also kind of low on resources, so there is that. How much to say? Yeah, this one, the Minor Erdtree Catacombs, has the double combo of the scepter and sword variants together. They could shred through a lot of summons very quickly, and they're really not going to be vulnerable to most things except frostbite. We're not exactly equipped to make good use of our spirits here until we find a Ghost Glovewort 6 or something. That's when we're going to be able to... I know we picked up some Gloveworts, actually. But those are only for +5. And I believe we already have... We have some +4s. We can go back and upgrade a couple of these. We should do this after the fight, though. Yeah, this is more or less just, doing our job better and not getting hit with those slams. Yeah, and Lutel was killed within 5 seconds. I was about to say. And that they really can hit you from out of nowhere. Yeah, there was no point in doing that. I should have just died earlier. I think I think that actually using the spirit summons is causing me to put myself in a bad position. Also, did we lose runes there? I think we might have lost runes there. I don't know if I ever went back and reclaimed those. We're just not going to use Spirit Ashes for this. No. Okay, that wasn't too hard. We just needed not to use Spirit Ashes for that, basically, which caused their behavior to be very erratic. There are cases where you don't get to use your Spirit Ashes because of the mere ludicrousness of the fight. This is one of those cases. Caitlyn is home to some very nasty double and triple fights. Putrid Crystallians. Nasty, terrible fights that have been nerfed into oblivion because they are bad for Elden Ring's design space unless they're crafted very carefully. But that is neither here nor there. What we probably need to do now is return to Limgrave for a moment. I need to collect some more flowers so that we can get a rune arc going. We can just purchase rune arcs, but why would I ever do that when we can literally just make them for far cheaper? Really, we can. What I'll probably have to do, since I've done all the off-screen grinding and stuff, I will probably have to do more off-screen grinding if I would like to make sure our level keeps up with the content that we're doing. Granted, we're at we're at level 120. We're about 30 to 40 levels away from just not needing levels for anything. That being said, our playstyle, even though we're at such a high level, because our stats are so evenly distributed, our offense is a lot lower compared to some other builds that are out there. We really have to make concessions. We have to try to exploit weaknesses. We constantly have to find the boss weakness and find a status that we want to use. That is the downside of not focusing on one particular kind of particular kind of spell or ability interaction, is that we're spread very thin. We're very weak offensively. But this is fine. Perfectly fine. To make sure that wasn't an important message. This one might be important. Okay, I'll address that later. It wasn't that important. It just, it concerns friends and stuff. Here is our rune arc. It's probably not gonna last very long in Caelid, being honest with you, but hey, we have to try, right? We at least have to try. There were some items that were on the cliff side that sits above the tree, the minor Erd tree. We have to actually approach them from the cliff side if we would like to have access to those items. Not much more to say than that, honestly. We are also going to find some what will later become a very important quest line. It's not like lore. There aren't quests besides just, get to the Erd tree, become Elden Lord. Like, that is your major quest, that is what you're supposed to do. However, I would consider this quest line that we're ultimately making our way very slowly towards also kind of important. And it concerns a very different piece of lore. A very different side of lore. The lore that's here in Elden Ring. The storytelling is very phenomenal. Don't let anyone tell you there ain't a story in Elden Ring. Is it a narrative story? No, not really. Of course not. If you're wanting the story to be told to you, why are you playing Elden Ring? Why are you looking to FromSoft to tell you a narrative story? That is mistake numero uno. Mistake number 2 is failing to find the story in all the items that are being shown. Like, the one washed up on the grave site was sure to die until this flask offered its gift of rejuvenation to seek the Elden Ring. A sacred flask modeled after a golden holy chalice that was once graced by a tear of blessing. Or this one, a relic of the physic chemists, priests of the Erd tree. Harnesses the power of crystal tears which only form after the passage of many moons. Basins are placed at the feet of minor Erd trees throughout the lands between to collect their crystallized tears. Yeah, so this kind of explains you know, what the gift of the Erd Tree is really all about. And how the priests that do worship the Erd Tree are just as much chemist as they are priest. There's a lot of story just in those few words. Is it the most profound story? No, you need a bunch of other items to sort of help tell that story. But the story is there. You just have to look for it. It's not in your face. There's a lot of things that the game isn't going to say. You need to read. You need to guess and interpret. You need to really trace the lore through its items, through the interactions the NPCs have with one another. To understand the bigger picture, you have to take your time with the story, and if you don't, you're never getting anywhere. Ever. I mean it. So, welcome to what is probably your first real rest site in Caelid, and that is, like, the Smoldering Church is one, but a lot of people look at Anastasia and avoid her like the plague. So your real first rest site is probably Rot View Balcony, and I don't count the rear Gale tunnel entrance. This gives you a pretty good view on what you can expect later. See those birds? They're Caster's worst nightmare. There are giant dogs that are around here as well. They're probably not right here. But these birds are fast and annoying. Very annoying. They have teeth in their beaks. They can tackle you with the best of them. Yeah. These things suck. Here, I'll show you one. Granted, we'll be attacking it from a distance, but our spell can't even reach them. We need to use a channeled spell just to access that. See? These things are fast. They close distance fast. And it's only when they back off. Well, they could sort of outrun. Oh, is this thing having difficulty backing up over something? Backing up over something? We could use this. Well, kind of. We can kind of use it to our advantage. Even our Cannon of Haima only does so much. Usually the way I like to handle these is with a bow and arrow. I usually like to take these things out without ever getting close. If I can. Man, you are the most crafty thing in the whole wide world. Yeah, we just don't have that much, I kind of need to wait for this thing to sort of come back over to the cliffside. There we go. And as soon as it gets itself coagulated, we can actually attack it with something, like a spell. But that doesn't last very long. See, it's really not worth it to spare resources on it. It's just not. You're better off giving up on these giant birds and using a bow or something to try to, and not just any kind of bow. You need like a medium or a great bow to interact with these things. Or you need to have a shield and get ready to block as though your life depends on it. These things suck. I kid you not. The life in Caelid is very hostile to casters. It really is. We were going to have to deal with Caelid at some point if we wanted to 100% the game. Nice. These things, everything here, also inflicts Scarlet Rot. Get used to that. See what I mean? Get very used to things sucking for us here in Caelid. Get very used to rot everywhere. Spells hitting very hard. Slimes coming out of walls and ruined buildings to get after us. The place sucks. Bad. And it's up to us to try to navigate and make the best of a really bad situation. Even just killing these few enemies here, while I was kind of silent to sort of show off the situation at hand here, it took real effort just to kill them. Really, in Caelid, you want to be packing fire. You want to be packing a lot of fire. You don't want to be coming here with your frost and death spells. You either need to pack magma sorceries, you need to either pack physical damage, or you need to switch to incantations while you're here. Incantations will make our life much easier. However, I am trying to show off the spells that we have, and try not to stick to playing one build the whole time. I know what my preferred playstyles are, but I want to showcase everything. Heck, you can even showcase or play the blocking paladin fortune playstyle that's here. We do have access to that fortune, I'm fairly sure. We sure do. We have access to that. We don't quite have the right spell. We do have some sort of right spells for it, but only holy damage, not fire. This place, if you could take a torch to it, everything here would practically die, with little exception, if given enough roasting time, of course. Now, while I go order some food, I will be right back. It might take me a little longer than 5 minutes, just to kind of set up the order. I'll probably try to thumb over it on my phone or something. But yeah, I'll be right back. I will see you guys after this commercial break. sorry about that. Took me a little longer to sort things out with my bank, but I got that all taken care of. Overdrafts are very scary. Make sure you know what's in your bank account before you start spending. You never know when a bill or something might cause an overdraft. Being dead serious. But, alas, that is what adulting is. So, preview of things to come. Going back to the minor Erd tree for its various roots in order to grab a few items. And then we just start kind of going down the pathway and deviating to where a bunch of items I think will be. Caelid's going to have a lot of cleanup. A lot of cleanup. I'm being serious. There are lots of places where you have to double back and come back later. There are cliff sides that like to hide and obscure various items. There are also a lot of places for you to fall to your death. We thought this was bad in Liurnia, but you could mostly tell where you're going, and secrets were often hidden in plain sight. No, here, it's more like secrets are hidden underneath the waterfall, and it's up to you not to, get yourself killed. Oh, and there will be a ton of enemy groups like this just out on the road patrolling every which way. Get used to that as well. They're practically everywhere. I may have to dip out on camera earlier than I'm expecting. Just so you know, I don't have the people bringing the order being real interruptive to people's sleep. I definitely don't want that happening. But other than that, we should be good to go for the remaining amount of time. It's 50 minutes, which means the order would more or less be coming up at the end of stream anyway. Oh god, you've got these things coming out of the woodwork. Really? I like how they were dancing in unison right there. Really? Oh, we gotta be extra careful. Running to dodge things in Caelid is just a very scary process overall. Because you don't know what's on the road around the corner. Speaking of on the road and around the corner, we get both our feathery and furry friends out here. See those dogs nibbling with that teardrop scarab nearby? That's golden in nature. Yeah, it's holding something special. I can already tell you that now. Yeah, these things are rough. They are very rough. We don't even have fire. The thing these things are anathemic to. You'll see what I mean. These things are really scary. I mean, I make mincemeat of them with the appropriate spell, but that's just it. They're not scary when they're at a distance like this. It's when we don't have the tools to operate at a distance that these things become scary. And as long as we're fighting them one at a time, it's fine. If we have to fight and run away from multiples, it gets scary really fast. And it's real easy to start chasing these things and just run into, run into a nearby bird, run into a nearby giant dog, and there will be problems. When I say these things close distance, I mean it. They close distance. They even fight, even when fighting each other, these things are scary. There were soldiers in the background just dying, just in the background. These things are that scary. I'm not even sure these will reach. Nah, they don't even reach. They don't even reach. In situations like that, you're definitely better off just letting them watch and then return back to their food. Just trust me on this, okay? I fought these things for a while, and they were scary. This was before I knew Ancient Death Rancor was good. This was before Elden Ring Reforged. Granted, I still had the tools to deal with them. And we're coming at about the time I expect to actually arrive here. Instead of, arriving here after the fact with, not having gone to Altus first. I'm sorry. There will be multiple episodes I have to go on and correct the record. I really did think that Altus Plateau was earlier in scaling than Caelid was. Looking back on the list, the tier list here, I believe it's in the discussion. So, for reference, Rennala, Ainsel River, and Caelid have the same scaling. So we fought Rennala at about the time where we could go to Caelid. Fair, she should be a hard fight. We haven't gone anywhere apart from Caria Manor that is higher in scaling than that. At tier 8. Fort Faroth and Redmane Castle also share the same scaling as Caria Manor. Altus Plateau / Mount Gelmir, it's both, share each other's tier at tier 9. Then after that, it sort of gets interesting, let's say. Okay. Chair's starting to get a little loosey-goosey, so I have to be careful with how I sit in it. Rough stuff. Yeah, we're starting to approach where navigating the progression gets a little tricky because you don't know. You don't know what you're doing. There are multiple places for you to go. You can, of course, always go to where the scaling doesn't make sense. Like, there's a reason I'm following the scaling, and it's just because I want to show you the intended order of things before we break it. Now, before the tier adjustments, in the earlier portions of Elden Ring Reforged, you could follow the way things are supposed to go in the base game and get your butt kicked normally. But now that all the progression has more or less been corrected, I want to make sure I do things the intended way and not just sequence break just cause. This place scares me. You're going to find that I'm a lot more hesitant with Caelid than I was in Liurnia, where it's like, oh, I don't remember this place. I don't remember that place. No, Caelid is worse. Caelid is worse because, you know, things can kill us in one hit, one shot. See? Look at how close these things are now. We haven't gotten hurt by any of them yet, but that doesn't mean I want to start. We have 25. We have 25. We have 25 vigor. We have 28 mind and endurance. Also, are we even using the right fortune? We are. And even though we have heightened health, mind, and stamina, this place still scares me. This place still freaks me out. I'm scaredy cat. I'm a real coward. Things spook me very easily. I do horrible in horror games and stuff. But this place scares me in a more visceral, you know, gut-wrenching way. It's not like, oh, something freaked me out. No, it's, you know, it's real palpable fear. That's what drives me insane. Is this. I'm just making sure I don't miss important messages from my friends. Today is one of my friend's birthdays, and I have not wished him a happy birthday yet, so I need to make sure I do that when stream is over. But in case you're watching, you know, happy birthday, friendo. Hopefully, this year is a fine year for you to conquer your own demons, your own problems, and you get to enjoy a full life as a proper adult. Something I wish I was, and am not. Where are all these notices coming from? It's all from the same thing. Yeah, the happy birthday, friend. And here it's all about finding the right drop-offs. And, you know, which routes have an item and which ones don't. I know that one does, but we already collected that item and we're dead. I will probably just have to go look up, you know, we'll have to do a cleanup with those Erd Tree roots. Why are we back here? We shouldn't be back here. We should be at the Rot View balcony. I guess I never actually sat at that that rest site. Wild. Well, let's rest there now. Now we're out of Sanctuary Stones. I'll have to grind off camera for all that. Absolutely wild. Oh, and you know what I was forgetting? You know, I even commented on it, and I still forgot. We never talked to Bach. We never went back and actually talked to him. I'll do that here in just a moment. That way we can get it off of our inventory sheet. Thank you for your custom. The only custom I accept here? Runes. And the only way you get those runes is death. There is an item there. I do need to drop down and get it. It was kind of hard to spot from that angle. It's even purple, so I really should have been able to pick it out from the tree roots, but for whatever reason, I just could not. We're just gonna yoink him off the tree root. Beautiful. Perfect. Beautissimo. I don't know what I'm even thinking of anymore. Oh, hey, look. A free rune arc. That's perfect. Rune arcs are like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. That's my favorite phrase. Just, ooh, shiny. I love rune arcs. Do we have hard runes we could sell? We do have some. They're not enough for a level up, though. Yeah. Hopefully... Well, actually, this first foray into Caelid really doesn't show a whole lot about why I'm so scared of it. And when I say... I shouldn't say scared. I should say fearful. I should say anxious. Because afraid or... being afraid is a very different level of fear than just being... or being scared. Is a very different level of fear than just, you know, you fear the consequences. They're not quite the same things, in other words. Off me. Get off me. Remember, you can always press... you can always mash left trigger, right trigger, or A and B together if you want to grapple escape. That is an option available to you. And in Caelid, you better get used to using it. This is probably the place where the grapple escape matters the most. Along with, you know, the late game areas. Getting grabbed by the ghoulies or one of these things is a death sentence if you don't mash out of it. There are some grabs, like the undulating tree spirit, that you can't really escape from. They occur too quickly, and your grapple escape opportunity is just really short. But you should still try, unless you just happen to know that there's no way you're gonna mash, you know, left trigger, right trigger fast enough. This is why I typically like to show the slide input. Okay, so this is my Xbox controller. This is my Xbox Elite 1S. Oh, it's the most current controller. I'll try to make sure you tilt this the right way. And close enough to the camera where it matters. Okay. This is A. And... sliding over. It's very hard to try to map my movements on camera. This is B. I typically just take my index finger or my thumb, and I slide across those two buttons back and forth. Still counts as an input. You don't have to twiddle your two fingers. You can just slide. Sliding back and forth is a much better method for handling the grapple escapes. Don't use your triggers. My recommendation is not to map your triggers to your button faces. You're better off just sliding A and B, and you should get out of most grapple escapes relatively fast. The only issue comes in is if, you know, you have those hard to tell if you can actually escape or not grapples. In that case, I got nothing for you except to just... I think I channeled twice there. Yeah, there's nothing for you except to just, you know, keep trying or expect that in most cases a grapple that is not escaped from is death. And you just want to do your best to avoid getting in those situations to start with. Also got to be really careful. These things have excellent vision, by the way. It is really easy to get caught off guard. You thought you were out of range of, say, this one, which we are. They're not actively doing anything against us right now. But if this bird were maybe at the campfire there, the actual burning pyre there, instead of beyond the banners, they would have already noticed us. Yeah, and the key with this place, with all these large beasts just kind of roaming about everywhere, just take your time. Take your time. Don't rush into things. Take your time. As a caster, if you don't take your time, you're just going to end up dead. I mean, granted, sometimes you do need to just book it through an area. You'll know when those times are. Although, me personally, I'm the kind of person that if we were doing like a sequence chase or something silly, I'd be the first person to get left behind. I'm terrible at... Well, I mean, I'm out of shape. So, trying to do things like run or sprint a marathon are bad. I'd probably die due to a heart attack if I tried. But, I need to try to get this guy by himself. I'm not sure I can. I think the magical explosion is going to do us in. Also, there's that bird there. I was wrong about its placement. It's right at the campfire. Oh, and look. See, these things are much worse. See, these things hit really hard. And they will chase you to the ends of the earth. Luckily, these things are kind of worth their weight in flasks. Killing one usually gets you a flask. Usually, not always. Yeah, these things have like 3k HP. Ridiculous for an enemy. But bosses usually have somewhere to the tune of like, I don't know, somewhere between 30k and like 50k. And I can't wait until New Game Plus, where bosses just routinely have like 200,000 health, or 100,000 health per phase, and it is something like Malekith or Melania, where those phases are really grueling, difficult endurance matches, and you just don't have the stamina for them. I would describe Elden Ring as a very low replayability type of game, where like you experience it and then you're done. Like, you can go through New Game Plus, New Game Plus Plus, New Game Plus 4, but once it'll take you a long time to experience that journey, to just kind of be able to power through it. 930, 940. Okay. In about 20 minutes, I will have to just kind of get up and prepare for the driver to show up. But if we can get to another rest site, that would also be really good. Let's go ahead and drink. Headshots do help you a lot in Caelid. Things are usually large enough where the heads are easily visible, like these dogs here or the birds. If you can get headshots, you'll be in business. You'll be in a lot of business. I suppose we're sort of at the bottom end of our stream. I do want to thank people for showing up. I really mean that. I want to thank people for the support, the follows, the conversation, the subscriptions, the tips, the bits, the donations, all of it. No matter how long ago that donation was, your support means the world to me. I like you guys a lot. And I will do a lot of things for you. If you like the content, or you like talking at me in general, and you want to know when I'm live, leave me a follow. It lets me know that you like the content, although I like Elden Ring and we'll stream it regardless, but, if you like the content, just follow, hit the bell, that way you know when I'm going live. Sorry, said same thing twice, but it's definitely worth reiterating. Those are free ways that you could support the channel, and it's effortless. Of course, direct support's never required, but I appreciate any financial contributions as well. The methods for that are in the About Me section. I have coffee, I have stream elements, I have a couple things. Thank you for the command. Stretching the servos and joints. Okay, we got a combo redemption here. Yeah, I'm going to tilt the camera up a little bit. Drink my water. I do actually have water. Not sure I'm going to be able to position this in a super flattering way, but I will do my best. This is so jank how I'm having to make it work. Yeah, this is extra jank. There we go. Maybe something like that. Just while I'm kind of stretching my joints. Yeah, hey, by the way, you should check, tilt. Oh, I can't tilt this. I have to be careful. Hopefully I can come through alright. You should check Discord when you have an opportune moment. I saw. I'm just on camera, so I can't exactly address that right now. But I will say something after the, stream is over. Promise. But I'm glad you stopped by. You're good? Very well. There's the, stretching the servos part. And here's the 2 ounces of water. That's the second hydrate redemption we've had today. As a quick aside before I finish up my shilling, you guys have access to channel points. I believe they are amperes on this stream. Just while I'm kind of looking it over, let's go to my stream elements page so I could discuss this real quick. Trying to get the command ready. Yep, not all the rewards are covered in my little list here. If you want to know more about AMP rewards, you can type in exclamation mark AMP rewards, all lowercase, all one word, and you'll get access to the list. At any time, if you want to ask a random question that I'm going to answer unless TOS is being violated, 50 points. If you want your message highlighted, you pay 100. If I have a sub-only mode or something when that's happened, 250 for messages in that mode. 300 for me to do a random in-game action, 400 for me to put on a hat. I thought it was 2,500, it's 400. 1,000 points to, I wrote this wrong. Control my speech isn't right. I believe it's I have to talk for 5 minutes. 25 points will keep me quiet. 5,000 points makes me remove my glasses for 5 minutes. All that fun stuff. Hey there, Igorati. It's either Igorati or Igarashi. It's one of those. You gonna kill Rennala? I already did that. I was expecting to spend the whole episode on it. But I got her on the first attempt, coming back. So I realize the title's kind of a misnomer, but I promise we did kill Rennala. I can even show off... I can even offer some proof that she's dead, actually. Well, defeated. Not dead. I think we've, stretched the servos quite long enough. I'm gonna put that camera back now. Break and refresher to beat her? Yeah. Yeah, more or less that's all that had to happen. I don't know why. I did. This will give me a good time. Hey there, Shadows of Six. Welcome to the stream. Good to see ya. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoy your stay. Happy birthday, by the way. I know it is your birthday. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you either went out to eat or did something special. And it's about as much as I'm going to comment on, since I am a real proponent for protecting real-world identities on Twitch. But do know that I do wish you a happy birthday. Alright, so Roundtable Hold. This is the feature I wanted to kind of demonstrate real quick. This should count as proof of my killing her. First, I believe I have her scepter. I also have her spell. But in case that's not enough for people like, well, this could be a New Game Plus playthrough or something like that. I have ultimate proof right here. In Elden Ring Reforged, we have a resurrect bosses menu. It doesn't work on all of them. It works on like major ones. But if I wanted to, I could go over to the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, and if I've killed the boss before, then she is available to be resurrected and we can fight her again. I don't recommend resurrecting her. She's not a very good use of your time, but you can do it. Also, in particular with Rennala, if you resurrect her, you lose access to your rebirthing and cosmetic adjustment options, which is something to bear in mind. So, maybe don't resurrect Rennala. I just want to demonstrate that she is dead. Irrefutably, or not dead, but defeated. Irrefutably, no other way around it. There's no tap dancing, there's no in-game manipulation, none of that. That should be proof enough. That being said, this VOD will be available on Swirling Vortex 09 VODs. That's a YouTube channel where all of my Twitch VODs go. So I'll probably try to make sure all of the VODs are moved over to there today. I've been a little behind on that. But I demonstrate with our build how to kill Rennala. And it really was just a matter of, I guess, walking away and coming back and powering through it. I also just dodged a lot more stuff. I suppose it's one difference. And really, it's not Rennala's spells that got me during the 3 attempts. It never was. It was the spinning staff. It was her tossing her staff every which way. And not getting a good pattern on Oathsworn summons. She summoned a lot of wolves today. A lot of trolls today. Those are the good ones. If she summons the Bloodhound Knights or the dragon, she did summon a dragon on camera today. You know, that's bad. However, even with the dragon on camera, I did manage to get close enough to relegate its breath to being useless. it did do some other stuff. The Oathsworn Dragon did give me a good run for my money, but I did in fact deal with it.
Lay out your arms then.
I still have a couple of VODs I have to like or a couple of I have a couple of Twitch videos that were broken up due to real OBS disconnects that I have to edit. I'll try to power through and get that edited tonight, but that's one reason I've been behind. I've been a little reluctant to put VODs on Swirling Vortex 09 VODs because I'd like to make sure they're up there in sequence, but that's an excuse. I need to just put the VODs up there. Nothing else to say about it. I'm gonna own my channel and my actions. I'm not going to sit here and invent endless excuses just to please myself. Just to validate being behind on channel progress. I'm just not going to do that. I've done that for entirely too long already. Trying to think of other things to say. I'm expecting a package or like food to be here soon, so I don't want to. I kind of don't want to have to like walk away and come up for tonight. But before I idea of where I'm going been changed since looking at the tier list again for scaling areas in Elden Ring Reforged. So our plan, now that I know that Altus Plateau is in fact higher up on scaling than Caelid, we're going to go through Caelid like I originally wanted to. We were going to do Altus Plateau before, but that was before I corrected my own knowledge. Our plan is to make it to these map markers, and I believe there's one more somewhere over here, and I'm just forgetting its exact placement. And when we obtain those map markers, we'll have a lot more of Caelid opened up to us. It's open already, but you know what I mean. It'll be visible. It'll be ready to explore. We're not just kind of like groping about in the dark trying to find things. After that, we're probably going to make a beeline for these map markers, as a matter of fact, just so that we don't have to sit here and grope around in the dark. Then we'll go back through all these areas and explore them fully. That way we can kind of mark them off as we go, you know. There are quite a few fun, fantastic places in store for us. Caelid will probably be at least between 5 and 10 episodes in length. Liurnia was like 15 and it was a massive place. I expect about the same length for Caelid, but that's about as much as I could say on the matter. Beyond that, I don't really know. Tomorrow for stream, we're going to be starting New Game Plus on Blasphemous. Friday, I'll put this out on Twitter. Best way to get in touch with me is Twitter, by the way. That link is in the About Me section on my Twitch page. Just go look there, find the Twitter panel, click on it, it'll take you to my Twitter right away. I have an appointment to go get my tetanus booster that day. So I'm if I stream, it's gonna be at least an hour late, maybe even 2 hours late. And I think that'll about cover it for the week. Thank you guys again for showing up, and again, happy birthday, Shadows of Six. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you've enjoyed your birthday so far. Thank you to everyone again for following along. For the person that I'm going to shout you out to, the only person that I can shout you out to at the moment is the Happy Hob. If you guys like first-person shooters, hang on. This is probably important. Okay. If you guys like first-person shooters and you guys like big, chat rooms, you'll probably like him. The Happy Hob's a pretty popular streamer. He's mainly a Soulsborne streamer. He does a lot of no-hit runs. He's pretty famous for his back-to-back challenge runs of multiple Soulsborne titles in a row. There are others that are doing it now, but Happy Hob kind of originated all of those attempts, as far as I understand. We'll give him a shout out now. I'm making sure I'm spelling it correctly. It's got underscores in it. Or the command could not work. Great. Regardless, you have the you do have the username. You can search for that on Twitch. Yeah, that'll conclude today's episode of Elden Ring Reforged. See you guys tomorrow with some Blasphemous. My name is Coinstamp, otherwise known as Swirling Vortex 09 on YouTube, and I'm glad y'all could make it today. I'll see you guys around. Remember that our hallowed storm halls are always welcome to you, with topics of all kinds, whether they be serious or lighthearted. And with that, I will see you guys around next time. Take care, and bye-bye.